As myself, I look after the marketing function as told. Now, coming straight to the point, gas development in the emerging countries, as we are trying to say, this perhaps is a very, very opportune time when we are looking at it. Because you've seen one slide shown by Moshiri with the distribution of gas productions have actually gone into a different geographical spread. So when you really look at the volumes of gas which are available today in terms of shale from the US, and if at all something happens with the wild card coming in from Iran, there is a huge amount of gas which is actually going to be available. And if you really look at gas handling, the important part here is the infrastructure, as rightly mentioned by the chair as well as Mr. Moshiri. The important point here is that if you look at the development part, you have 240 million tons being traded today across the world, but LNG terminals liquefaction capacity more than 700, regas capacity is more than 700. The countries which are participating, if you add together 19, 20 of the people bringing in, and some 30 odd countries taking in volumes into themselves. If you really look at it, in the last 50 years from 2.5 million tons, 240 million tons is nearly 100 times more volume which is being done. And if we add the population inside, perhaps 85 to 90% of the population of the world is already involved in the business. So what I am trying to indicate here is that volumes are available. Now when you look at how these things are going to be utilized by the emerging countries or the emerging economies, and when I am saying this, pardon me if I am slightly biased towards coming from the consuming country. Therefore, the important point comes up is that for any gas infrastructure, unlike the coal or the oil also needs some development in on the infrastructure part. But since it's an established industry for such a long time, gas is something where any molecule, if you just leave it, it goes out of your hand, it flows somewhere, you just can't control it. So you need to actually come up with the infrastructure. And when you look at the emerging economies, you look at the emerging countries which are coming up, those are the countries, for instance, if I quote an example, the one photograph that Roger showed, this lady from the Sub-Saharan trying to cook something, to expect that that lady would be in a position to buy gas and be able to do something with gas, we need a lot to be done before anything can happen to that extent. Coal definitely is something which is coming as tough to her, perhaps, as the biogas which is or biomass which he is using. But important point is that we need to really look at the child, who has one candy in the hand, which say supposing if he draw probably is coal, and then tomorrow you say that okay, you'll get 10 more candies if you wait for 5 years, and that is the premium fuel which gas will bring in. But effectively, if you really want gas to happen, then it's like you have to pay the premium and you have to make provisions for that. It's like saying that if you want to date a beautiful girl, you need to have money in your wallet, and at the same time you need to be prepared with all the pre-plans and options which can happen. So therefore, in the process, when I am trying to indicate here is the emphasis is towards capital which needs to be invested, and at the same time the infrastructure which is required to be there. Now therefore it comes back whether the infrastructure comes first or the gas comes first, that chicken and egg story will continue. But effectively we need to actually create some virtuous cycles. So upstream players, midstream players and downstream players. In India at the moment we are fortunate, we have the state government playing the game, we have the private people, we have multinationals, all in upstream, all in midstream. Yes, we need more participation from the international oil companies coming to India. But downstream, yes, we are at the moment with the state companies and the private people. But the state actually is now coming up with various options. And when I am saying this, I would just give you an example that GAIL in the year 1984 started off with a pipeline, a gas pipeline, which was first done. We actually spent nearly around, in those times, $1,000 million worth of money on that. And today, if you really see, downstream industries have developed worth more than $15 billion on that particular thing. So it needs to be seen that we need to actually utilize all the infrastructure, and we need to be careful about bringing the infrastructure in time so that the physical molecules of gas can move on that, and then you can bet whether it's going to be expensive or whether it's going to be cheap. Just to actually now quickly take in the point because time is running out, I'll just come straight away to the final, I would say the kind of thought process which I had is, in any infrastructure when you look, what happens is the cycle to move around. There is an anchor customer which is required to actually securitize the infrastructure. Now in India at this point of time, some three very good things have happened. Power, fertilizer and the city gas distribution. These are the three, so to say, major consumers of gas. The government has actually chipped in. They have actually now created that whatever 15,000 kilometers of pipeline which we have, which is peanuts as compared to the 3.9 million kilometers in the US. But at the same time, if you put another 15,000 kilometers pipeline in India, it will be completing the national gas grid. Now what to excite the people, what the government of India has done, they have come out with a power pooling and a fertilizer pooling concept. And as you go forward, perhaps, and I'm going to answer the question because I'm running out of time, I would be actually elaborating more if somebody wants to know about it, otherwise on the offline. There are haircuts which we have all taken, all the players who are there into the system, whether it is the pipeliner or whether it is the regas terminal person or whether it is the power person. The states have actually taken haircuts in terms of VAT, customs duty, etc. and everything. So there is a symbiotic work which has been initiated by the state, and now we are in a position at this point in time when I'm talking to you, from 1st of June, there is 2 million tons of LNG on an annual basis, which is more coming into the country just because of this. And therefore, we are expecting more and more things to be coming up from the state side, from the oil marketing companies, from the players who are there in the game. They have helped us, and we are now in a very collaborative mode to really make all things happen. So gas is there, and if we have this collaborative mode, emerging countries cannot lose out. So with this, I'm sorry that I'm taking time, but thank you so much. Thank you.